It is time for the official Locked On Wizards predictions for the 2025 season. We've been through the dog days of summer, now through training camp. The preseason begins on Sunday, so it's time. Let's predict.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards. We are part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where does your team, the Washington Wizards, every single day. If you're not an everydayer, join the DC family, subscribe. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm Ben Strober, one of your co-hosts here on Locked On Wizards. I cover all things DC sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980, and alongside, as always, the DC Sports content creating savant, Abdullah Ayubin. AB, Wednesday. Preseason basketball a few days away. How we feeling?
Wizards basketball is coming back day by day, man. First preseason game. I know it's preseason, but I don't care. Basketball is back in the nation's capital. And
today gets me hyped because we are making our predictions. We're calling our shots all episode today for the 2025-26 campaign. Maybe this is my favorite type of podcast to record right here, because it feels like the whole summer you've been doing all kinds of speculation, and now we can really make our predictions, set them in stone, and maybe we can come back and say, I told you so, or we can say, hey, I'm glad I was wrong about that by the time the season's end. This is going to be a super fun one today. We want to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started today. All right, real quick, as we get into these predictions, let's just break down some of the moves that have been made throughout the offseason for this Wizards team. And of course, the Wizards offseason begins with the lottery nightmare that occurred on May 12th. We didn't want to talk about it for quite some time, but it turns out things worked out pretty well for the Washington Wizards. You get Tre Johnson at number 6 overall. We think he'll be a very special player. The Wizards traded back from the 18th pick, got a couple picks in return, moved back a couple spots. You get Will Riley at number 21, a super high upside raw scorer out of the University of Illinois. Going to be interesting to see how they utilize him as they move through the offseason. But the one thing that stands out the most throughout this offseason, two moves really. You move on from Jordan Poole and Saddiq Bey, and you bring in CJ McCollum, also pick up some picks as well, and you have fully bought in to this youth movement. And how does that continue throughout the summer? The Wizards add Cam Whitmore in early July. They trade 2 second-round picks to do so. So now one of the more talented up-and-coming young scorers in the league is now part of your young squad. You have to find a role for him. This roster got younger, AB, and at the same time you could say they got hungrier. They're trying to prove themselves in this association day by day. And although you got younger, you make the argument, did they really get better? I think they are going to be a better team this year. Even though the win total might not necessarily reflect it, I think this is going to be a much better team, a more competitive team in 2025.
As much as we love this Wizards squad, this offseason, drafting Tre Johnson was amazing. We remember our reactions. Also, trading Jordan Poole, it was a move that we were shocked, and maybe it was going to happen, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it could have been the point guard here for the future. But ultimately, I think the biggest move, Ben, is trading for Cam Whitmore. I think this kid is going to find a role here in Washington, and the opportunities that he's going to get, the flashes that we saw in Houston, coming to a hometown team where he has a chip on his shoulder that he has been going into the league, I think he's going to have a breakout year this upcoming year.
Question for you guys as the listener. Did the Wizards actually get better, or are they just younger and hungrier? Now, it's a good question. Let's chew on it. My answer is they did get better, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I think the Washington Wizards will be a better team overall. We've seen the blueprint for what Will Dawkins, Michael Winger, and Brian Keefe are trying to emulate here in DC. They want to be a defensive-first mentality basketball team. That seems like it's going to be the philosophy of how you're going to improve, how you're going to compete, how you're going to win games. Defense, is a priority for this organization, and it seems weird that a team that now is preaching defense as part of its main focal point for how they're going to win basketball games in the future. Why were they a bottom 3 defensive team last year? Why are they a bottom 3 rebounding team? Well, they were bottom 3 in basically everything because the Wizards last year simply were not good enough. You didn't have enough talent. You have too many guys that are young and raw on this team. Now that you have the 3 guys from the 2024 draft class, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, and Alex Sarr, you can get excited about what those players are going to do in year number 2. And there's a lot to build on. Bub on the All-NBA rookie second team, Alex on the All-NBA rookie first team. Really positive outlooks after the rookie season to build upon. If those guys have any resemblance of a jump in year number 2, you can expect the team to be much better. And we're not even accounting for what we think Keyshawn George is going to do this year because he's the guy that was left off of those teams last year, but he seems to be the darling right now amongst the media, amongst the fans, amongst people that are paying attention to this team. It seems like there's a lot of expectations, a lot of weight that Keyshawn George is going to have a ridiculously, surprisingly amazing sophomore season. Whether or not that is the case, I think you're going to get contributions across the board from all of these young players who are going to make drastic improvements. And then you add Cam Whitmore to the equation. So yes, they're younger. Yes, they're hungrier. They're going to make mistakes out there, and ultimately it's going to lose them enough basketball games to keep them in the lottery, because that's the most important thing for this Wizards team. We know that they want to be a lottery-bound team. They do not want to surrender that pick to the New York Knicks if it falls out of the top 8. But they're going to be better. They simply have more talent right now than they did last year. There are more pieces in play that can win you games ultimately.
And I'm hoping, Ben, that this team can build off what they did the second half of the past season, where the team looked a lot more competitive and the team looked more hungrier. And this upcoming games you have, the first couple of weeks, you're playing against some tough teams. And if I'm a Wizards fan, I know I want to see this team win games, but I ultimately want to see them fight against the cream of the crop, because let's be real, this Eastern Conference, it's only going to get stronger. There's so many young teams right now that are eventually going to be building and rebuilding like where we are right now. And I think with the young core, 2024 draft class, the Big Three having a year under their belt, the Summer League, there's a lot of potential shown there by the young guys. I think you can mention bringing a guy like C.J. McCollum is key. I mean, the guy not too long ago dropped 50 points against us, so he can still hoop. Chris Middleton still is that veteran presence that we need in this locker room. I also think being the third youngest team, when it comes to an efficiency and whatnot, that may be like something that's like, oh, maybe it's cause for concern, but also I think this team's going to play so much more faster. I don't think there's going to be that much of last season. As much as I love Jordan Poole, there were times, Ben, where we questioned the shot selection, where fast break 2-on-1, 3-on-2, and takes a deep 3. Now it's let's swing the ball, let's get to the ball. Alex Sarr, he wants to take more shots in the paint. He talked about it during media day. Cam Whitmore, is he going to be a shell of himself? I don't think so. A lot of people question his a guy that can play defense in Houston. I think he's going to be here, a high riser. There's so many athletic guys on this team. AJ Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Cam Whitmore. Offensively, this team is going to be fast, and I can't wait.
This meritocracy attitude, preaching competition around the organization, it has really echoed its way throughout the organization. It seems like everybody has truly bought into what the plan is for this 2025 season. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily want to hear. They say, I don't care if they say we're working really hard, we want to compete. But there truly is something that needs to be said about what they've done to preach this level of competition, to preach the way they have changed the attitude, how everyone is going to be bought in, playing on both sides of the basketball. And hopefully that leads to the team being a little bit better as a rebounding team, because if you don't rebound the basketball, it's tough to win. And the Wizards are a really bad rebounding team. And I expect that to continue in 2025. I want it to be a little bit better. I want that to specifically get better from your guy in Alex Sarr, 7-footer, that you'd hope have a big leap in year number 2. But for right now, the question I leave for you guys, let us know in the comments or let us know at our social medias. What was your favorite offseason move for the Washington Wizards this year? While you chew on that, AB, let's chew on a different question for you real quick. Who takes the biggest leap for this Wizards team this year? Official prediction from you right now.
I think it's our boy, number 2 overall pick last year, Alex Sarr, man. As much as I love Keyshawn and Bub, I think Alex Sarr, the flashes that we saw in the Summer League of him breaking the Summer League block record with 8, I think also a year under his belt, understanding the NBA, coming from the Australian League, it's quite the transition. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be more aggressive. I think the 3-point shot's going to be better. And I'm hoping that defensively and offensively, he's just a presence in the paint. Like you mentioned, this team needs to get better rebounding. When it comes to rebounding, we're all looking at everyone in Wizards Nation, the coaching staff, fans. They're all looking at Alex Sarr. You're the biggest guy on the court. You got taller, you got stronger this offseason. You will get better, and it all starts again with that paint presence. And I don't know, Ben. When it comes to having a successful year for Alex Sarr, because I've been thinking about these past couple of days, is it him making a all defensive team? Is it him hitting a specific type of points per game? 15 and 10 would be awesome, but I want to see him average 8 to 9 to 10 rebounds a game because again, this team needs to be better with rebounding.
Yeah, I think overall the shooting splits need to increase. And one thing, I'm going to make a correction yesterday. I had a stat that I gave out and it was wrong. I misread it. I misinterpreted it, so I'm going to correct that right now. Alex Sarr, as I mentioned, what I said is that he shot 17% from 0 to 3 feet. That was actually his field goals attempted. So I think my point still stands in a way because he actually was around 70% from that distance. He only took 17% of his shots from the distance of 0 to 3 feet. That needs to change. We need to see more easy opportunities for a guy like Alex Sarr. If he's going to shoot the long ball, he's got to do it from the corner. He was over 35% shooting threes from the corner last year. We saw him getting work from the corner yesterday in practice. I think that ultimately can be a strength where you see him stretch the floor a little bit. But I want to see my guy Alex Sarr get in the paint and be a physical presence. If the Wizards want to get to the next step as an organization, take the next step in this rebuild, Alex Sarr is going to be one of the key components. The way I look at it right now, the only thing that's stopping Alex Sarr from being a really tremendous player for the Wizards and in this league is Alex Sarr. I think he is
100%.
the only person that can really get in his way right now because in terms of size, like he's got the height. Maybe he doesn't have the weight quite yet, but lanky centers really do have a place in this league. We see it with Chet. We see it with plenty of other guys around the association. There's ways that dudes with his tools can dominate. If he can put everything together that we think he can on the offensive side, because we know he's already got all NBA traits defensively just outside of rebounding, and I think that's going to get better as his career moves along and progresses in Washington. If he stays out of his own way and takes better shots, Alex Sarr's poised for a really big year number 2.
And it's so funny because I've seen Alex Sarr haters compare him to Kwame Brown, and guys like me.
That's crazy.
I know, and I think guys like me who are hopeful and optimistic, the sky's the limit. You brought up Chet Holmgren. If he is even similar to Chet Holmgren and has a career like him, I would love it because again, you have a guy that can not only be a presence in the paint, but can set you screens, can shoot the ball from 3-point land. Outside of Tre Johnson and Kim Whitmore, after those two guys, Ben, I'm looking at Alex Sarr and I'm like, you want to be the face of this franchise? You wanted to come to DC? Go out there and prove why in year 2.
That's 100% right. I think Alex Sarr is going to have a drastic improvement offensively. I truly believe it, and I'm ready to see it happen throughout the year. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we continue our 2025 predictions here on Locked On Wizards. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth. Whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments, when you don't have the full picture, you end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. One thing I identified when using Monarch Money is I wasn't saving as much money as I thought. I was finally able to really lock in and see where my investments were going, how much money I was allocating to groceries and other things like that, and now I am saving that much more. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. Let's keep these predictions rolling as we go throughout the program here on Locked On Wizards. Let us know in the comments your biggest and boldest predictions for the 2025 campaign. One prediction that I wanted to go through right here, the top scorer for this Wizards team this year is going to be CJ McCollum.
Yeah. Were you about to say something, Ben? Go ahead.
So think about it this way. The Wizards' leading scorer last year was Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole departs from the organization, and you slot in CJ McCollum ultimately to take that spot. He's not going to be as ball dominant as a player. But the Wizards brought in McCollum not just to be a mentor. He's going to score. He's going to be out there competing and helping this team really stand the test of some opponents throughout the early part of the season, because the Wizards want to showcase what McCollum has in his bag. And we know how he's been throughout his career. There's a reason McCollum has been highly regarded as one of the better two guards in the NBA for quite some time. He said it himself that he is in better shape right now than when he dropped 50 on the Wizards last year. He battled some injury last year. He is healthy. He's ready to compete. And I think he is truly ready to thrive in this role that the Wizards have for him. I've been amazed by his attitude and, the mental fortitude we've seen from him. At this point in his career, you have nothing left to prove if you're CJ McCollum, but I think he wants to really shine in his leadership role that he has here in Washington. He wants to make a difference on these young players' lives and their basketball careers, while at the same time, he wants to showcase enough for himself, because I think he wants to find his way to a contending team at the deadline, have a chance to play for another chance at the NBA title, because that's what's missing throughout his career. He hasn't had the opportunity to hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy, so I hope the Wizards are able to utilize him. He'll be the leading scorer for the time that he is here in the 2025 season. Then you trade him to a contender, and hopefully you go and see him win a championship, as everyone else who falls into place behind him, your Tre Johnsons, everybody else that comes off the bench, those guys thrive based on what he was able to teach them when he was here. CJ McCollum is going to be one of the unsung heroes when it's all said and done for this rebuild. If the Wizards get to the next step, I think they're going to owe a lot to CJ McCollum and what he did when he was here.
I agree with you 100%, Ben. I think a guy like CJ McCollum has a lot left in the tank. Like you mentioned, he feels better this upcoming year when it comes to his body. And I think mentally, what he has to do here in DC, being a mentor, from what he sounds like when it comes to the media, he just sounds like a great presence on and off the court. And we're hoping that he can mentor a guy like Tre Johnson, because we want Tre Johnson to be an ultimate CJ McCollum in the future, where a guy that can score at all three levels. And I would like him to go to contender as well, because I want him to make sure that he has his presence marked here in DC, but also like the departure is fine from both parties. And what I'm also hoping that CJ McCollum can do, Ben, is teach these young guys how to take care of themselves. This team is the third youngest team going to the NBA, and CJ McCollum, a guy that's played in the NBA for 10 plus years, he knows how to take care of himself, his body, how to carry himself off the court. We don't want a team where it's, as much as we love young guys, a lot of some maturity problems that you could arise. And having a guy like CJ McCollum and on top of that Chris Middleton, that duo right there when it comes to veteran leadership is pretty crucial. And not many people are talking about it in today's NBA, where it's good to have young guys on your team, but who's going to look up to those young, or who are the young guys going to look up to? And CJ McCollum is one of them.
Absolutely. Chris Middleton, another guy that I think can have a really positive impact on this team. I don't think he's as vocal and outspoken as a guy like CJ McCollum, which is why I'm not giving him as much credit for what his mentorship role might be. But he is a leader by example, and I think ultimately he will start for this team on opening night. And, hopefully you see guys that come off the bench behind him. We know Coulibaly is going to be sidelined for the first week or so of the season, so whether or not he comes back into the starting lineup when he's back. But Cam Whitmore, even a guy like him, could learn a thing or two from a guy like Chris Middleton. He's been a winner. He has championship pedigree. It means a lot, because this Wizards team full of young guys that just haven't experienced winning basketball outside of other levels, potentially, whether they're playing in college or overseas. In the NBA, these guys have not tasted a lick of success. You need to learn how to win, how to get out of a situation where it seems like everything is against you and everyone expects you to lose night in, night out. You have to find a way to block out that noise. And that's why the veterans are important, because they understand what it takes to win basketball games, how to come up large in clutch moments, and how to ultimately take care of yourself so you can withstand the grind that takes place within an 82-game season. That's why these veterans are going to be so important, because somebody's got to teach these guys how to win. Last year, you go on multiple double-digit losing streaks. Everybody is feeling down. The team morale ultimately dwindles down to a low point in the year. You don't want to see any of that this year, and I don't expect anything like that in 2025.
And half of those losses were like those two streaks, Ben, were half of your losses of the season.
Yep.
So it's like you want to make sure that this team is able to compete night in and night out, and you don't want to be that team that just everyone looks at the schedule and says, oh, that's the get-right game. That's the team where we can go in there and we don't have to play 100%. We want to go into every game saying, we're gonna win 50-50 balls. That's ours. Hustling, that's the one thing that we want to see with a young team and with this fast tempo offense that we're gonna run. We're gonna run you out the gym because again, having high flyers like Cam Whitmore when Bilal comes back from injury, AJ Johnson. I mean, legit. There's gonna be I'm hoping a lot of highlights when it comes to dunking.
Absolutely. I think we're going to be a thorn in people's sides for the most part. We're just going to be that pesky, scrappy team that's young but competitive and tough to beat night in, night out. We don't want to be looked at as a team that's an easy win on the schedule, and I don't think anybody should overlook the Wizards, especially the way things were last year. This team swept the Denver Nuggets last year.
That is insane. I always think about it every now and then, Ben. Like, we really swept. Even though it was twice, like, you still beat a really good team.
And I think the Wizards are going to shock a couple contending teams throughout the year. I think of the 20 or so wins, we'll get an official record prediction toward the end of the video, but of the amount of wins the Wizards are going to have, I think 3 or 4 of them are going to be pretty big upset wins over top contending teams, maybe out of the West. Who knows? Maybe they beat Oklahoma City this year. Something like that. I just think they're going to have one signature win where you're going to see one of your young guys ball out. Maybe Tre Johnson drops 30. Alex Sarr has 24 and 12 rebounds or something like that. I think they're going to have a signature performance that's going to make the fans say, hey, wait a second. I'm starting to see the vision of what's happening here. Abdullah, that kind of just brings me into my next question. What's going to make Wizards fans proud to watch this team again this year?
It's a good question, Ben. I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to winning. You can't lose less than 20 games this season. I just think, like, again, the reinforcements you got this offseason with development underway, year 3 of the rebuild, you have to hit that 20 game like landmark. And I think 25 is ideal. 30 is great, but as long as you get 20 to 25, that's great for me. But I think, Ben, it all comes back to, can this team get better defensively? Can they close out on three-point shooters? When it comes to point margin differential, are we losing by 20 points a game compared to 10 to 5 points a game? All that comes to fruition. And is this team in games after halftime? Because last season it was a lot of those games where by halftime it was a 30-point margin. It's just like, okay, let's play the second unit. And it was just frustrating to watch. But can this team be competitive? Again, the NBA, the Wizards, everyone views I mean, if you're not a Wizards fan, you just don't even care about the Wizards. They'll call the Wizards the most irrelevant franchise. And if you want to call a spade, it does make sense because we haven't won in so long. We haven't had a 50-game winning season since, was it 79, right, Ben?
Yep, that's right.
So it's like, you put all those things together, it does make sense. But now the tides have turned. The way Will Dawkins is trying to build this organization, people are going to start looking at us and say, whoa, Keyshawn George is low-key a baller. Alex Sarr is having a good year, too. Cam Whitmore is revitalizing his career. You put all those things together, Ben, and I think a lot of people are going to respect this team. And going back to your question, I think it's just that capital C word, Ben. Competitiveness. If you're not competitive, no one's going to respect you.
100%. It's just, if you can't compete, you can't compare. That's really the best phrase of saying that I'm going to take with me throughout the entire season here. All right, we're going to take one more break. When we come back, we're going to continue these predictions. We were supposed to do a mailbag, but I think I'm going to have to push that back. We got to continue with our predictions here on Locked On Wizards. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Imagine what you could do with that. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet. Player props, teasers, same-game parlays are my favorite live betting as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting. Whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on the fantasy lineup, FanDuel is the easiest and best way to do it. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Let's continue with the predictions here for the 2025-26 campaign, the official Locked On Wizards predictions. Let us know your biggest predictions and if you agree or disagree with what AB and I have brought to the table so far throughout the video. And be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. All right, Abdullah, it's time to get into Tre Johnson, his rookie
Wow,
season.
25 minutes in, Ben, and now we're talking about Tre Johnson.
I know. It's crazy because he's on the thumbnail too, because I think he's going to be a major focal point of the season. Tre Johnson, does he have what it takes to win the Rookie of the Year award? I know we've already done a video on it, but let's reiterate. Let's circle back to it. Can he do it, AB?
1,000%, Ben. 100%. All bias aside, whatever. You can call me whatever. If you look at the situation that he's in, compared to a guy like Ace Bailey, compared to a guy like Cooper Flagg, it's perfect here in DC. A guy who is going to take some time to get into the starting lineup. I'm hoping sooner rather than later, but maybe 5 to 10 games in, we'll see him crack the starting lineup, and he'll be unleashed. This is a kid that I think can drop 40 points in his rookie year, and I'm hoping to see multiple game winners of this regular season, because a guy from his caliber, from what he did at Texas at the highest level in the SEC, it's going to translate in today's NBA. The fact that he's just a guy who wants to get better. I mean, you saw the practice. The assistant coach was telling him to go home. CJ McCollum was trying to reiterate the fact that you want to take care of yourself and that you got to realize you got to take some breaks. A guy who truly embodies the idea of ball is life. And I think at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I think Tre Johnson should have been a top 3 pick this past season. And I think a lot of NBA fans are going to say that at the end of this upcoming year. But it's going to be exciting, Ben. I think if he doesn't win Rookie of the Year, it's going to be really close, and it's probably because Cooper Flagg really balled out his rookie year. But I definitely think he's going to finish a top 3 finalist.
Hey, Flagg looked really good in his preseason debut, so I'll give him a lot of credit. Both ends of the floor, he was playmaking, scoring, blocking shots off the backboard. It's going to be a tall task to dethrone Cooper Flagg, but some easy predictions for me for Tre Johnson in his rookie season. Leads rookies in three-pointers. I think he does easily. He's easily the best shooter to come out of the draft, and I don't think really there's any question. I think he's going to take plenty of three-pointers, and I think he shoots close to 40% from beyond the arc. So I think that's going to be pretty easy for him. All-NBA rookie first team for sure, because I think he really will be, if not the runner-up, the winner of the Rookie of the Year award. If you give him that, he's easily on the All-NBA rookie first team. I think you could see the splits of around 17.5 points per game for Tre Johnson, 3 assists, 4 rebounds, add probably a steal in there, maybe like a third of a block. And then shooting split-wise, I think you see him shoot around 48.5% from the field and 38.5% from three. He said his main goal for the year is to shoot 90% from the free throw line. That was one of the things he harped on. He wasn't able to do it in college. He was just short around 87, hasn't been able to do it in his career. I think if he can get to the line enough, which I hope he does, I hope he has the ability to get downhill and generate some opportunities at the line. I think he can hit that 90% mark, but I'd expect at least 88% from the line.
And I'm hoping, Ben, that a guy like Tre Johnson, who a night where he's so hot, if teams are starting to double team him, that opens up opportunities for other guys, and that showcases his playmaking that we think is also underrated. And defensively, Ben, a lot of Wizards fans are questioning his defensive capability. I think he's going to be just fine. Another reason why I loved him over Jeremiah Fears, outside of the shooting and just offensively being so gifted, was the size. I think Tre being 6'5" is, I don't think it's gonna be cause for concern, because again you have guys on the wing like Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr in the paint, so you don't have to expect Tre Johnson to be this all caliber defensive player of a guard. You want to make sure that he's able to produce more on the offensive end.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we still have a little bit of time to get in the final part of our predictions here on Locked On Wizards. AB, what's your final record prediction?
So, with all that being said, all those narratives, year 3 of this rebuild, I think this team wins 25 games this upcoming year. I think it's, I don't know how many, minus
57 losses?
Yeah, 57 losses. My bad. Thank you for the math there, Ben.
You good.
I think 25, I think we're going to be comfortable with also keeping that top 8 pick, and I'm hoping we get a top 5 pick because of the amount of talent that we have in the 2026 draft. But outside of the win marks, I want to see those wins. Like, I want to see us beat like really good teams, but I just want to see year 2 of the big 3 of the 2024 draft class, and Tre Johnson and Cam Whitmore just ball out. Also, my guy TV, I want to see his minutes go up as well.
Absolutely. All right, so my record prediction for the Wizards in 2025, I have them going 23-59. So a 5-win improvement over the 2024 season, which I think would check out in most cases. I said that this team is better. They're not just younger. They're not just hungrier. I think they are better. The win total increases by 5, but it's going to be strategic in the way they are losing some of these games, especially late in the year. You'll see a lot of youth out there for the majority of the games, if not the entirety of the second halves or fourth quarter of the games. The Wizards certainly have a plan. Will Dawkins said it. They don't want to take any shortcuts, and ultimately I think they think it's very important that they are in the lottery this year. They have a chance to pick somewhere in the top 3 to 5 and get another super talented player. Then next year, you can really start to think about making the next step, taking the next leap in the rebuild.
This is off topic, Ben, and I know we're about to end the episode. Was I the only one that thought LeBron was going to announce his decision to come into Washington for his second decision?
I was ready for it, man.
Genius marketing idea, by the way.
I mean, was it not obvious that he wasn't retiring?
Yeah, I just feel like if he was retiring though, Ben, we would have known right even before media day.
Yeah, they would have made a whole thing out of it already. I would have to imagine.
But did you see the ticket prices changed the second he announced that? Oh, I'm gonna announce this on Thursday, the 7th.
Dumb-dumbs buying all the tickets. Just dumb. Now they can't get their money back, so that sucks for them. They have fun at a boring Lakers game.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, you got Luka and LeBron, I guess, so have fun with that. Hey, we got some good content upcoming for you guys. The Wizards tip off the preseason on Sunday against the Toronto Raptors at 3 p.m. We will be there. We will have a reaction. Maybe we go live for that reaction right after the conclusion of Wizards and Raptors. Also, tomorrow night, I think the episode will probably come out on Friday. Chase Hughes of Monumental Sports, our pal, he is going to join us, give us his observations from camp, and let us know his thoughts ahead of the 2025 campaign for the Washington Wizards. That'll do it here on Locked On Wizards. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. Subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. If this was your first time, we hope you like what you heard. Come back for the next edition. Be part of the DC family. We continue to roll on toward the NBA season. For my co-host, Abdullah Ayubin, I'm Ben Strober, DC family. We're out of here. Talk to you tomorrow.